Today's episode of the Dangerous Woman podcast is one that I hold near and dear to my heart because I am bringing to you a guest that is a woman I have had the pleasure of coaching for a little over a year at this point. This is a woman who has graduated my signature 13-week course called Swing to Snatch, which helps women learn how to strength train with kettlebells for the first time. This woman has gone above and beyond with working towards improving herself. In regards to her fitness, she not only works with me, she has taken time to work with Tim. Tim is my husband. He is a biomechanics specialist. They have been working together on her overall movement and tissue health. She is also working with registered dietitian Hillary Irvin, who you have heard on this podcast, who I work with as well. And she is just going to the moon and back with prioritizing herself. And I'm so excited for her to share a piece of her story with all of us today on the Dangerous Women podcast. I think the women who really change the world are not necessarily these ones that we put on a pedestal. They're not celebrities. They're not influencers with big followings. They are women that we can relate to. They are women who are living lives that we see other women living. She is a wife, she is a mom, she has a career of her own, and she is just, in my eyes, what a dangerous woman is. She's taking care of herself, and I'm so excited for her to come on in a moment and again, just share a piece of her journey with you. Welcome, Jolene. Welcome to the Dangerous Women podcast, where the intersection of fierceness and femininity fuels empowerment. Our goal is to provide women with insights to unleash their power. Grounded in the 7 principles of self-confidence, we guide women to embrace their duality, delicate as a flower, yet powerful as a bomb. I'm your host, Colleen Conlon, inviting you to join me as we explore topics on health and wellness, empowering you to embody the essence of your dangerous woman. If you had to sum it up in one sentence, who were you before the kettlebells? Who have you become, and how do you feel?
I was a recreational triathlete. I was a die-hard Peloton enthusiast, and I loved to bike and swim. Running, not my favorite, but I was a wannabe Ironman. Whether I ever got to that point, I loved the goal of it. So I was on the journey to that, but I always really enjoyed training with kettlebells. But I didn't really know enough about it. I knew I always loved the swing and the get up. So I would randomly program some swings and maybe a couple get ups after a bike ride or, a run, and the main word being random. It was kind of whatever I felt like that day. But at that time, it worked for me. I felt that I was getting a good exercise, working my body, my mind. And then I knew I was interested in finding a kettlebell coach, but there wasn't anyone in my area that I could see in person. So I kind of thought that was probably maybe a pipe dream. And then I stumbled upon you and your programming and took a chance on the Swing to Snatch program. And now I am this competitive, highly focused, totally driven, goal-oriented athlete. I feel powerful. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm capable, and I'm stronger than I have ever been.
Yeah, you're really freaking strong. Like, I think what's really cool about kettlebells is it's almost like an unassuming strength where it's like if you were to, run into a bodybuilder in the grocery store, you would probably think like, oh, they must be super strong. Whereas like if you run into a kettlebell athlete, you might not think they look super strong, but they're probably significantly stronger than that bodybuilder for certain exercises.
Yeah, totally. I just feel generalized power strength to my body that I know if we were going hiking for a day, no problem. If I was doing yard work, no problem. If I'm helping my daughter at her horse barn, no problem. Like it's just anything I feel strong and capable of doing.
Yeah, is there anything that you feel like I don't know if I could actually do this at this point?
Kettlebell wise or in life?
Like in life, I know for me even, sometimes Tim will be like, "Oh, do you want to like go out and like just like run in the desert?" And I'm just like, "I don't run, but sure." Like I never question like, "Well, can I do something?" Because of the work that we do with the kettlebells, I'm just like, I can do whatever. Like I went to start taking aerial classes, working with silks. I've done pole classes, and starting that stuff is hard, but just like having the grip strength, having the core strength and stability, it's kind of just like, yeah, go try it. You're going to be a beginner, but you're definitely capable of doing this stuff right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm not I'm not in any type of running program or anything right now, but if I was going to go out for a run with my boys on their bikes, I know that my endurance from, everything we do, swinging or endurance get-ups, the different programming we've done, yeah, I'm probably going to be totally fine and surprise myself. That's a really good point too. Or say one day my husband was like, let's practice our handstands. I would be like, I trust my upper body strength. I know what I can press. So I wouldn't be, I mean, I probably wouldn't walk up to the wall and just gracefully do it, but I would be happy to try and
Yeah.
have fun with it. Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think with the kettlebells, there's also this like element of I don't have fear. Like I'm gonna try and just see what happens versus like I've had moments in the past where I'm just like, I'm not even gonna try because I don't believe my body is capable of doing something. And understanding how much breath and tension and just like basic strength patterns support us in everything that we do, it's allowed me to feel really confident to just try.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And that builds the more that you train with kettlebells. Like when you first start out, you're building your strength. You're working on, strengthening the tendons and ligaments and joints and your mobility. But as you progress with it and you're seeing increases in your bell size, like with my snatch, for example, translating that into that handstand, I know, well, if I have this many reps with this certain weight from ground to overhead, I probably can hold my own body weight in a hand supported handstand.
And
Yeah,
you
and
definitely
you're
have the
not
power to
afraid
pick
to
up.
try. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not afraid to try. You're much braver in things too, and you're more curious and playful with things.
Mm. Have you noticed that bravery component anywhere else?
I definitely would translate it to, so I have three kids, they're pretty active. And say one of my boys said, "Oh, mom, I'd really like to do this, but I don't know if I'd be any good at it." I I translate what I have learned in my kettlebell training and seeing the growth that I've developed. I'll say, "Oh, yeah, you can do that. You're not maybe going to be an expert day one, but let's go try. You totally can do it. You're so capable of that." And that's really neat when you can use your bravery and confidence and translate it into being a role model for your family and encouraging them to try new things and to take risks and just go have fun with different activities that they've never tried before.
Was there ever a time that you didn't feel brave?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Even if, a year ago, I had just started training with kettlebells, and it was very much, well, I think I could do this, but I'm not sure. And that wasn't just in kettlebell training. That would have been in just life in general. Well, I'm pretty sure I could do that, but I don't know. So I'm just going to kind of maybe hang back, and just think about it. Where now yeah, sure, you contemplate something, you think about it, but I just go, let's do it. Let's go see what happens.
I love that. It almost sounds like you've developed the ability to just try and take action and take the chances. And I think that's something that really holds people back is, you want to do something, but you are scared. You've never done it before, so you don't know what the outcome's going to be. And yeah, that is terrifying, but there's also something so big to gain on the other side if you are successful. And what I love about us in the kettlebell work that we've done together is it's like you're going through this program, it's been tested. Like this is gonna work. So long as you put in the work, you follow it, you're not just like being loosey goosey with everything, you're gonna be okay. And I think for people who have had success with this, and even speaking for myself, learning how to do this stuff, it's allowed me to trust the process and trust so long as you have an expert guiding you, trust that you have these cues to understand how do I listen to my body to feel like I really can do this is something that you you miss out on if you don't learn that you can take the chance.
Yeah, I used to be in such a hurry to reach stepping stones or goals or milestones that if I had something in my mind that I wanted to achieve, it had to happen in 30 days or 90 days or 6 months. And I've learned tiny steps every day, every week, add up to something so big that when you're just starting out, you can't even see how big it's going to be, but it really does. And maybe we don't try something because we're kind of scared. Could I do that? Is that something even accomplishable to me? But the more progress and momentum that you gain, it's this amazing snowball that just builds. Physically, you're building, mentally, you are building so much strength and resilience, confidence, belief in yourself that suddenly you can't even recognize who you were when you started. It, it's truly an amazing, it's just an amazing journey to be on.
Yeah. And I think the fact that we are learning how to develop this belief in self and this confidence through the kettlebell is a really cool one because the way it's all designed in Swing to Snatch, we are working different elements of strength, of power, of endurance. And because we're on these two extremes, there is like a hybrid kind of component of hypertrophy work that happens. So we really are training in these different ways with the kettlebell where by the end you really do get insanely strong. Like Jolene, I don't know if you ever made this comment, but I've had a lot of women come into the course and they're just like, Colleen, you are crazy, I can't lift that weight up above my head. And by the end it's like, oh, I can do that. So if I can do that, what else can I do? And it's not just like
Totally.
the physical, but it's the mental. Like for me, after working with the kettlebells, like it allowed me to have the confidence to try creating a business. And I've been able to do that. Like that's why we know each other at this point anyways, and it's given me confidence to try other things. Like I'm working on creating a supplement right now. I never would have done this if I didn't have that belief in myself, and I really didn't get that belief in myself until I started to learn how to use that kettlebell. So the snowball
That's,
effect is like such a cool
yeah,
visual.
yeah. Something that I'm working on, which is definitely the kettlebell, helps me, same as you. If I could do that, well, what else can I do? So my daughter is a horse person. It's just in her blood. In a past life, she was, I'm sure, some type of horse. It comes very natural to her. Me, not so much. But I've always toyed around with the idea of learning to drive her pony, putting a little cart behind him and like tootling around. It's going to take, a couple of years for sure. Like starting day one with kettlebells, you have to, there's a lot of learning and stuff. I never would have even thought I could do that without my kettlebell training. So yeah, it's made me strong. So I know I can physically handle, the reins and sitting on a cart. But it's the mental strength that is, oh man, like if you were prioritizing what's the main benefit coming out of kettlebells? Is it how strong your body is, or is it how strong your mind is?
Mm,
That would be a real toss up because they both grow and build. I think,
I
at
agree with
the
you.
same time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, there's been different times where I've marketed it more to being like, we're doing this like for fitness. And then there's been times where I've marketed it towards, we're doing this for belief in self. And it's always like kind of a hard thing because, I think a lot of people, they think fitness, I want to do this for my body, or I want to do this for like physical health reasons, and they don't always realize how much the work that they do can impact their mental and emotional health as well. And that's what's really cool about the kettlebells and how everything is laid out in Swing to Snatch, where we're working towards being able to do the big six skills with specific size weight, where it's like, no, like I gotta be all in, like I gotta be focused, I gotta put in the work. And if you're willing to put in the work, the payoff is so much more than just the strength and the change in the body. It's this belief that you get because you stuck it out, you overcame a big challenge, and you realized I am capable of doing anything that I want so long as I'm willing to put in the work and ask for help when I need it.
Yeah, and if you really sit with yourself and allow whatever is coming to you, if you listen to that, that's such an amazing part of the journey. So when I started Swing to Snatch, and the question was, why are you here? Why did you decide to embark upon this? I'll never actually forget the moment. I know where I was in my house. I know, probably could tell you what I was wearing. It
Yes,
was
paint the
so
picture.
profound.
I want to know. I think we all want to know. Paint it. Where
Yeah,
were
so
you?
I didn't have, now I have a lovely home gym area. At that time, I was in my office, cramped on this yoga mat with a couple kettlebells, trying to be quiet. So, my kids wouldn't tease me about the funny breathing we were using and stuff. And I'm out of breath. It's hard. And it just came to my mind like someone turned on a light bulb. I'm here to find my voice. It actually had nothing, I wasn't even thinking, oh, I want a 24 get up, or I want a 48 kilo get. Like there was no physical goal in my mind. What was coming to me was, I am here to find my voice. And that, if someone just sits and just allows themselves to feel what's coming to them, it can just totally change your life in such unexpected ways that I'm just so grateful that I listened to that and I stuck with it. And I just kept going. I just kept going. Well, what does finding my voice mean? In addition to putting in the work and, building the strength, but those two together is there. It's amazing.
Kettlebell Catalyst, the exercise guide for women to build strength, lean muscle, and self-confidence to overcoming limiting beliefs, is a book I wrote for women to be empowered to get started with kettlebells. In this book, not only will you learn the 101 details of hardstyle kettlebell technique, but you will also meet lots of women who were brave enough to try using kettlebells and hear how they transformed both physically and mentally. To buy your copy, visit Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. Are there like specific moments where you felt like you were able to find your voice, and like what were those moments? Because I think when people hear something like that, and I've had women experience incredible and like incredible things by going through this course that are so unexpected. And when I try to share that with other people, it's kind of just like, Colleen, you're all over the place. And I'm like, yeah, it's because all of these unexpected things are coming up because now these women are believing in themselves. These women are able to like tap into this self-confidence. They're able to listen to their bodies. They're able to tap into this intuition while strength training, which is like something I don't think anybody would actually think goes hand in hand, but somehow it does. So can you elaborate more on the finding your
Yeah.
voice?
Yeah. I know. I hear you with what you're saying. I can talk about this until I'm blue in the face. I would get on my rooftop and shout it out, but people would literally think, what is that crazy lady talking about? So, sometimes you keep things like that to yourself, but
Mm.
it is so true. I've had, and
Jolene,
again, I
go
remember them.
go crazy. I love crazy. I
Yeah,
fucking love crazy. This is your moment.
yeah, it's like tap in to yourself and what you're feeling, allow it to come out. So I remember times in training and random times. It would be a challenging moment, and I would feel myself getting choked up. And I have my music going, I'm in the zone, I'm not particularly thinking of anything emotional or anything like that. And I just knew I've totally got this lift. And not only do I have this lift, I've got the next bell up that I'm not even training for yet, but I have the belief I'm going to get there. There is nothing that is going to stop me. I have such a belief in myself that it's actually choking me up and bringing tears to my eyes. I've got this. I can do this. I've had it in our reassessment after we've done our 12-week training block, and we do our big reassessment halfway through, or 5-10 minutes in. I remember it being a get up portion we were doing, and I'd be sitting on like the ground waiting for the timer to start, and I just was like, I remember smiling to myself and just like, there's no place like this. I found myself. I found my thing. I've got this. I could keep going and going with this. It's just such a powerful feeling that if you could harness that, on maybe challenging days, or maybe you're having a bad day and you could like bottle up that feeling and just like take the cap off and just like, oh, be in that aura, it would, be amazing. But to remember those moments and capture them when you need, be able to go back and find that in you. Oh, I would wish that for every woman to have that.
I love everything that you just shared, and I know exactly what you mean. And for anybody who's listening who is, if you're not completely with us right now, here's a little insight I want to give to you. So, we are energy. We as humans, we are energy. When we die, our energy is going to go somewhere. So, we have these different energy spindles in our body. We have these different chakras. And what's really cool about kettlebells is the repetitive motion that's happening during exercises like the swing, the clean, the snatch. It's helping to awaken some of these energy spindles that might be locked down for whatever reason. And I'm specifically getting at the root and the throat chakra. So, because we're using this specific type of breathing, and it's loud, Jolene made the comment about like her kids making fun of the sounds. I have clients all the time. Why am I breathing this way? My family's making fun of me. My dog like won't leave me alone. It sounds kind
Yeah.
of funny, but we're moving this energy through our bodies, all of these motions coming from our hip, where I think a lot of people, if we were to look at people's insecurities or, past emotional or even like traumatic experiences, a lot of stuff can come from that root chakra, from our upbringing, from the inner child. So when we're doing all of this energetic work, moving this area of our body quickly, rapidly, it's helping to energize this area that is now bringing new life up through the rest of our body, and it's coming out of our mouth, right connected to our throat, and it's lighting this energy in us that allows us to feel really powerful, awake, and connected. And I think what's really cool about you, Jolene, is the fact that you've been able to tap into this. Whereas, I think a lot of women who came from a similar fitness background to you, the ones who are really into the endurance sports, I'm really into my Peloton. I think a lot of those women are down to work really hard. They are goal oriented. They probably like want to feel the sweat. They want the accomplishment. I don't know how many of those women are really just like, I want to be in tune with my body. I think a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like the women who are really into like yoga, meditation, and like more of that spiritual stuff, like that's the kind of stuff we are talking about right here.
Yeah.
But we've figured out how to tap into that while training with weights. So we have this ability to be like really in tune with ourselves, so long as you know how to get guided into that, you're open to that. Like
Yeah.
I can't just like tell people like, we're gonna do this thing and it's gonna be kind of woo woo, but you're gonna like, get stronger along the way. It's kind of like mixed messaging. How does it all really go together? But if you're somebody
Yeah.
open to it, you're somebody who is able to be present. You're not just chasing the sweat. You understand we need to learn the proper form, we need to learn the proper technique. We start doing this stuff on repeat, and then you're able to also absorb the cues of checking in with yourself. What do you feel? What are you experiencing? Where is the energy sitting? Then you can unlock something that's really freaking powerful, and that's exactly what Jolene has been able to articulate so well just now.
It is so powerful. So when I talk about how kettlebells help me find my voice, so physically they did that because I learned to breathe from my abdomen versus just shallow chest breathing, which I've probably breathed breathed. Is that the proper word? Breathe?
Yeah, we'll go
Like
with that.
that
We'll breathe.
most of my life. And so now I can channel from my diaphragm. I can actually use my diaphragm and belly breathe. So physically, that's so much more comfortable on your body and your nervous system. Second, that breathing, I feel this is the best way I can describe it. It actually strengthens, yes, your throat chakra, heart chakra. It strengthens that and it gets stronger and stronger. So maybe I'm doing a swing workout and I've got a lot on my mind. Maybe I'm a little more emotional that day. I'll actually do more ha breathing out like that versus the tss, and I'll allow it to come out and release it. And that feels amazing.
I love that. And I think what's really cool about you
Yeah.
saying that is, our energy to feel good, to get a release, like stuff needs to come out, when
Especially
people,
as women, right?
for
We
sure.
tend to keep everything in. Maybe we are the caregivers, maybe we're the people pleasers, maybe whatever our upbringing was to lead us to who we are today. A lot of us have
Suppressed emotion.
suppressed emotions. And when you allow that to come out, oh man, like your posture's better, you're just more physically comfortable in your body, you're much more self aware. And so, little did I know, signing up for a swing to snatch program to learn how to properly swing and do a get up has literally helped me on my healing journey, how much that has healed my inner child and made me who I am, who I was always in there, but I was able to harness and bring her out.
Yeah. There's something really powerful being able to connect to the energy, connect to the emotions while building strength, because you are taking care of these two different pieces of you. There's something very like masculine about strength training in general, and especially the kettlebell, and then something very feminine about just thinking about energy in general and checking in with yourself and intuition. So being able to bring these two things together, it's such a powerful practice of you becoming emotionally and physically stronger, and that feels good, and that's what allows for this whole snowball effect to
Yeah,
to continue to happen.
yeah, and it becomes addictive. It really does. You want to keep getting better, obviously at the technique, but growing as a person
Yeah.
outside the gym.
Yeah. I never would have thought I would have written a book. I never would have thought I would go after a Guinness World Record. I never would have thought I could forgive some past traumatic experiences, people. And, I'm in no way saying like kettlebells replace something like therapy. Like,
Yeah,
if you have work that you need to do in therapy, you need to go do the work in therapy. But this is a
yeah.
really great form of exercise to help support work that you might be doing in therapy.
So training with kettlebells has shifted my perspective on how important therapy is. Just like I need to spend time in the gym, going through our programming, putting that time in, you have to put the time in with a professional therapist as well. And those two together, the benefits just spiral. You become a much more solid, well rounded, strong athlete. And mentally, like you said, you're able to heal things that maybe you thought wouldn't happen. Maybe you find more joy in life. I mean, therapy has so many benefits, and I think everyone should do that as well. But if you are open minded and you approach this with an open minded perspective, it not only could change your life, it absolutely will just change your life.
I think that common thread between therapy and training with kettlebells is self awareness. You become so much more self aware of what you're feeling, what you're saying, what you're thinking, beliefs in yourself. And I think that's one of like the big connectors between those two things. I don't know if you would agree with that, or if you
Yeah,
see, yeah,
I absolutely would. So, like I said, as much as I show up every day in the gym, I show up to those therapy appointments too. If I put off a therapy session, it's the same as if I put off a gym session. No, you shouldn't. You should
Yeah.
keep showing up and do the work, and you're going to gain benefits.
Yeah, you're never going to be upset that like you
Yeah.
went to the
You'll never
session, you did the
regret.
workout, like there's
Yeah.
only good to come from it. And
Yeah.
the other thing that's so similar to therapy and training is, you have to take action. You need somebody to call out your blind spots so that you understand, well, what do I need to do instead to continue to improve? Whereas like, I mean, I've had clients who just like show up and we're just kind of, going through motions and we're not really making progress. And even, I'm not sure if we've had an episode yet on the podcast where Christy has talked about therapy, but like sometimes people just go to therapy because they want to be heard and they're not actually looking to make a change. And, if you are somebody who values growth and you want to see how far you can go in life, you not only need the right guidance from the right professionals, but you also need to be the person who's willing to take action. And I think that's one of the things about you, Jolene, that I love and I resonate with. Like, you are the woman who is going to show up and you are going to take action.
Thank you. Yeah, I really try to do the best I can in that moment with whatever Jolene is showing up that day. So we all have days where maybe we're a little tired, we're sore, but you can still do the best you can with what you have that day. And you walk away and you're proud of yourself. At the end of the day, check that off. I still showed up. I still did my best.
Yeah. And I think that is another really cool thing that you highlight. Not every day is going to be your best, and not every day needs to be your best, so
Yeah.
long as you do the best with what you have access to, like that's what counts. That's what's going to continue to move you forward.
Yeah. And it's I think the harder days that that's where we really learn. It's the challenges. I mean, I've had weeks where checking in with my nutritionist, it is like, what has happened this week? The week before, I was on fire. I just felt unstoppable. And okay, then you get through that. And when we come to the end, of a 12-week block, my favorite parts have been those weeks that were really hard and I had to really dig deep. And that's some of the best times,
It teaches you who you are, like who you are
Yeah.
deep down. Are you going to be that person who shows up and moves you forward, or are you going to get bogged down with like the challenges and just stay put?
Yeah.
You grow. You always grow. You're like a sunflower.
Yeah, I'm not stopping. It's very exciting. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners, specifically, the women who really feel like they can relate to everything that you said just now, to leave with a message of hope?
Yeah. This is what comes to my mind. If you are scared of something or there's a goal you have that's a little terrifying, lean into that resistance. You and your life are so worth it. And this is something I do so much in my life for others, for my husband, my kids, my patients at work. This is something that is just for me. And I think every woman needs that, something that is just for her. So put the time in, those small steps eventually add up to this giant, profound change. And it makes you feel so impactful to others. The little ripples of what you are doing spread so far and wide, and you can make a difference in your life and the lives of people around you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Dangerous Women podcast. If you had any groundbreaking takeaways from today's episode, please tag us on social at the Dangerous Women podcast. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe below.